Howdy folks, it's good to see you all. I'm Black Dragon. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Those of you who are trying to lose weight, make sure to follow me. My Facebook page is Fat Boy Getting Skinny, Gettin, Gettin. And you can also follow me on MyFitnessPal. It's a phone app that logs your calories. Excellent phone app. And it's JBunchii, JBunchii. And you can also follow me on Fitbit, JBunchii. And I'm also on Samsung. So, Fat Boy Getting Skinny. And I also have a Fat Boy Getting Skinny YouTube page I'm going to start populating with videos. So, Fat Boy Getting Skinny. I've done it 3 times. I've lost weight. I've actually lost weight a couple times. I lost 100 pounds, gained 65 back, lost 60 pounds, gained 50 back. So, we're going to try it a 3rd time. We're going to try to lose all the way down to 250. So I'm about 347 right now. Anyway, you guys know about my new book, President's Bible, that I'm writing, and you can look in the About description or the description below and find out how you can pre-order that book. So I got a email or a message on YouTube, many of these messages asking me about how you go about starting or naming a motorcycle club. And I just want to say this: I am very much a strict traditionalist, and I have never started my own motorcycle club. I've always started chapters of a motorcycle club that was at least 13 to 15 years old when I joined. And my motorcycle club is now 44 years old. It'll be 45 years old in February. So whereas I have started many chapters across the country, I have never personally started a brand new motorcycle club. And those people that do that are more courageous than I. But being a strict traditionalist, I would encourage everyone to look for an existing motorcycle club before trying to start your own motorcycle club. And that's because the climate today, especially after we made the movie Biker Boys, you know, the climate is for everybody to go and start a motorcycle club. And it's really kind of silly, because every motorcycle club that's out there and established, they can all use good people. They can all use amazing, excellent, awesome people. And having 400 motorcycle clubs in one city is just really kind of insane. And in Atlanta, where I live, on the black biker set alone, you know, in America, the motorcycle sets are still very racially separated, except for a few motorcycle clubs like my own. So on the black biker set alone, the last time I counted, which was a few years ago, there were like 366 motorcycle clubs, maybe 400. I remember getting to 366 in my count. And of course, not all those clubs are active or riding And that's one of the reasons why there doesn't need to be so darn many. People really get into this egotistical thing of some kind of way they need to form their own brotherhood. Or I've talked to guys with all sorts of ideas, like we want to form a Viking brotherhood like our Viking ancestors, blah blah blah. And there's clubs like that that already exist that had the same idea you had, but you can't tell those guys that. And so 4.5 years later, their club doesn't exist anymore. One of the reasons why is a lot of folks, it's not rocket science in how to start a motorcycle club. Hey, dude, it's not rocket science. Man, it'd be nice to be able to steer, if you wouldn't mind. But it's not rocket science how to start a motorcycle club, but it's something that requires some ideas about sociology and groups of people working together, that sort of thing. And it's something that long-term motorcycle clubs have already worked out. Clubs that have been around a while, they've already worked that kind of stuff out. So they, through trial by fire, a lot of this stuff has already been done for you, and you don't have to do it for yourself. And so there are rules that are established, bylaws that are established, and people aren't learning how to do this last minute. They're not learning on the fly. The precedents have been established. Their roles have been established. And so that is what an established motorcycle club can do for you. It can help you just the simple stuff has already been done. They've been doing this for a while, and the folks aren't learning on the job. And that can help with the stability of the motorcycle club. That can help the motorcycle club be around a while and last longer, and not have to go through the pain that you're going to go through as a brand new motorcycle club getting started. So we always encourage folks to join motor clubs that exist already. That's what we encourage folks to do. And I think many of you would be happy with that decision. And it's only because I've seen so many of you, and I've helped a lot of motorcycle clubs get started all over the country. And when before I even started making YouTube videos, people would call me up. Hold on, dog. People would call me up and ask for my help with this or that, and I would be more than happy to help them. But I would check back 2, 3, 4 years later. Motorcycle clubs I've taken through every step of how to get started, walk them through every step, only to find out 3, 4 years later they don't even exist anymore. So it's kind of disheartening. But you got to understand that trying to have a motorcycle club is not easy. It's one of the hardest things that you're ever going to do. Oh my goodness. It's one of the hardest things that you're ever going to do. And all the troubles that you're going to see, and all of the disappointments and heartbreaks that come with trying to start your own motorcycle club, that's part of it. It's like a long-term marriage or a relationship of some kind. They don't, it requires work. Sometimes It requires more work than you folks know or are even prepared to give. You just want to get up and running and get started and have your own MC. And I can dig it. But a lot of times when you talk to the one percenters, their questions are, well, why do you want to start one? Well, we're going to do charity. They all do charity. We want to help people out. They all help people out. Well, they hear that so often. And a lot of times, you know, you wonder why they say something like, you know, no, you can't put a club here. A lot of times they know. They can tell by the way you come at them. They can tell that you're not going to last. They can tell you don't have what it takes. It's kind of funny to think that, but those of us that have been doing this for a while, we can just about look and see and be like, yeah, those guys don't look like they quite have what it takes. So it's not that we don't want to see you make it. It's just that it's like many things. An airplane looks easy to fly. And it is easy to fly. If you've got a pilot's license, or you've been ever allowed to sit at the stick of a airplane, it's the easiest thing in the world to fly. You know, you point it in one direction, you have some flaps, you have a rudder. It's easy. But it's the crazy stuff that the small stuff, I often say, that's the hard stuff. That is the small stuff, like what do you do in a crosswind or in a tailwind, or what do you do when the plane stalls? This is the stuff that you don't know as a new pilot, and only time teaches you this, and a good instructor and some good training. And that's what you get from an established MC. You have those things in your corner. You have those things to help you out. Now, some of you will say, well, I don't like the MC. That all these MCs around here, they're no good. They're full of this. They party more than they ride. All the things that you guys say. And I can dig that. I understand that that you may have some issues with other MCs or whatever, but a lot of you guys really crack me up because you've been in the motorcycle club world. You've been in the motorcycle club world, you know, 4 months, and you think you know how to do it better than everybody that's been doing it forever. You better. It's kind of crazy. Because you don't know how to do it better. You might do some things differently, but until you've been through that test of time, bro, you're just not going to know. And it takes that test of time, that taste of some things that are a little bit bad tasting, but you still get through it. That's what does it over time. But no matter what I say, there are going to be those of you who want to start your own MC. And I suppose one of the most crucial parts about it will be designing your colors and naming your MC. So I've had about 15 or 20 emails in the last month or so, maybe a little more than that, saying something like, how do I name my MC, and how do I research and get colors that people are not going to argue about. So I want to just give you a few ideas on that. Since I've been fortunate and never had to design any colors, and I've never had to get an MC name, I just really consider that fortunate. So let me tell you some of the things you don't want to do. So any MC name that you think of in about 3 minutes has probably already been taken. Like the Aces or the anything like that. And I've said this in videos before. The East Side City Spinners. You know, any name you can come up with off the top of your head in a couple of minutes, it's probably been done before. Any graphic you take off the internet is probably copyrighted, and if it's not, it's probably being used by a motorcycle club somewhere. So every kind of picture you see out there is probably been used. So it's going to take some kind of imagination and thought towards coming up with a name that's suitable for you. So think of a name that kind of represents what you're trying to do and spend a lot of time researching it. So when you come up with a name at first, kind of be like, what if that's taken? Come up with 2 or 3 different names. So when you go to the council and they tell you that name's not going to be accepted, don't have your heart in it. It's like when you buy a new house. Some people see a house, they fall in love with it, they can't get it, and their heart is broken. And there are so many houses. The house that you fall in love with will be the house that you get. So the name you fall in love with will be the name that you finally get. Also, be aware of some things, like in some areas, your name will not be accepted. For instance, I was in an area where the name Black was not accepted in the club name. So Black Sabbath was not accepted. The 1%ers in that area had a use for the name Black, and every club with the name Black in it belonged to that club as some sort of a support club. Now, of course, being 40 years old at the time, we were granted an exemption. We were grandfathered. And that's just a really cool part about having a name that people recognize and having a motorcycle club that people respect. But if you had been a new club trying to come in there with the name Black in your name, you would not have been accepted. So be prepared for local kinds of things that might stop you from having a certain combination of colors, or a certain combination of colors, or perhaps in your name, a certain combinations of letters, or the name type, or the color, or whatever it is you want to do, mascot or whatever. Be aware of that. Some of the mascots and icons you may be wanting to use will have meaning to lots of other organizations, not just yours. So maybe that is something that Masons use, or something that a certain other kind of brotherhood uses. So that might not be accepted in your area either, because that would some kind of way be a disrespect to another kind of organization that uses that. So everything that you think of that you want to use that's common, it's been used before. There's like thousands and thousands, if not millions, of organizations out there. Each one doing their thing. So the trying to be different and trying to set yourself apart and trying to come up with something that's going to be acceptable, it's going to take some study. I always tell people, absolutely do not use pictures off the internet. First of all, almost every picture on the internet is owned by someone. And if it's owned by someone and you don't have permission to use it, you could be sued to get it back, to make you not use it. And that suit could cost you some money. M-O-N-E-Y. So, go to some sort of artist and pay a couple dollars to have your stuff done the right way. Does that make sense? It'll save you some consternation maybe later on down the road. Like, you might be rocking that patch for 5 years and get a lawsuit, and now you got to pay some money. So think of that when you're trying to put together what you're going to have as a name, or what you're going to have as colors, or what you're going to use as an icon. Other people out there are using that. Hey, I'm not going down there. Man, that's a long hill. There's water in the truck, man. Hey, you. Hey, there's water in the truck. Hey, I said I wasn't fucking coming down here. Okay, hold on. Come on. Come on. What do you want down there? Really? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Come on, you. Really? I just bathed you. You got to be kidding. I've got a damned Explorer. Man, come on up here. Like you got some sense. I'm not coming to save you. Think about those sorts of things.